Welcome to Countdown to Infinity, a Marvel's Avengers podcast. We talk all things Marvel Cinematic Universe, including the shows on Disney Plus and the movies.
The movies.
For movies. The stuff that you go to the movies for. And, it's kind of a big lull for the box office because even outside of Marvel, there's not a lot of huge blockbusters, but never you mind.
Because guess what? We got content.
There's plenty to watch on Disney Plus.
Yes, there is.
And we're talking a brand new series called She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, starring Tatiana Maslany as She-Hulk herself, Jennifer Walters, a lawyer who specializes in cases involving superhumans.
Yeah.
This is really exciting. My name is Manuel.
My name is Sophia.
Are you excited for another show?
I am. And you know what? From the jump, I was kind of nervous about this just because of all the stuff that they were sneak peeking for before the release. But now I'm kind of stoked for it. I thought it was going to be really cheesy and stuff, but it's not. It's really cool. I liked it a lot.
Jennifer Walters is a really cool character in the comic books because, of course, she is a female version of the Hulk.
Yes. Related
to Bruce Banner, but she has such a unique string of comic books. She breaks the fourth wall, which happens in the show. She is a little bit cheekier. She's able to control her alter ego almost immediately, and we get that in the show too. So I was really excited to see her in a live action thing.
She is strong as hell, and she is representing the women out there. Thank you very much.
And Tatiana Maslany will talk about a lot more, of course, probably every single week, but it's also exciting to see her, of course, star of Orphan Black.
Yeah.
Emmy-winning actress. And you know what?
We saw her in a werewolf movie.
Yes. Ginger Snaps 2.
Yes.
She plays Ghost in Ginger Snaps 2. That's a little bit of a, we were watching werewolf movies for Revenge of the Sequel or other podcasts.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, there's a 12-year-old, I think actually 14-year-old, Tatiana Maslany as a young Canadian actress in her very first role.
Yeah.
And now you said you can't unsee
now I
it,
can't not see her as that. I'm like, oh, man.
Everyone get to watch
Ginger
Snaps 2.
The second one.
Watch it just for her. She's honestly the best part of it. And kind of really impressive as a kid to be acting like that. And now here she is in the MCU.
Wow.
And then Tatiana also is a really good comedic actress, and I think
God, she's hilarious.
This show is a different tone, and we'll talk about that too.
It seems very much like her personality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure this was a pretty safe role for her because it's not
silly, goofy, also a little bit, she ironic and
confident.
No, it's not ironic. What is it?
What?
When if I'm I'm really having a good time. Sarcastic. That's what it is. It's ironic. That's how can you be ironic?
Yeah.
But Sophia, what did you think? So we're talking first episode. We're going episode by episode. The very first episode of 9 is called A Normal Amount of Rage. Now, what did you think about this episode?
I think that was in reference to the amount of rage or anger or just caution that women have to take because of her.
Wow, getting right into it.
I am. I'm jumping straight in. What is there to talk about other than this for right now? The way that she portrayed what women experience out in the world was spot on, because Bruce was talking about this is anger you have to deal with every day, and you have to be able to control it. And we're been there, been doing that. What'd you think? And there was some examples that were inside of the series or inside the show that portrayed that things that society's very different, right, for everybody, but based on location and everything else. But when she's getting catcalled by this group of men, and she kind of takes matters into her own hands because she's a She-Hulk now. That was just one thing that she had to deal with. And I'm like, yes, girl, tell them, let them know. So I was here for it.
Yeah. Well, this episode serves as sort of an origin story being told, I guess, as a flashback to us as the audience, which is really fun because we don't see that a lot outside of Deadpool.
Right.
in the MCU, and technically not even in the MCU, because Deadpool is, we haven't seen the MCU version of Deadpool yet.
Yeah.
But I like that it showed a lot of the relationship with Bruce and Jennifer. It seems really close, and I think it's Mark. Obviously it's Mark Ruffalo and Tatiana, but you kind of buy their. In a short amount of time, you buy the kind of the deepness of their relationship right away. And it does feel like a cousin thing, because even beyond siblings, you can joke around a lot more, I think, with a cousin, because you don't see them every day normally.
No.
But, so her blood is fused with Bruce's. She has the powers of She-Hulk.
Car crash.
There's a car crash with a spaceship from the first Avengers film. There's a really funny joke. I think we'll talk. Well, I guess we can hold
Just
on.
do it.
Let's talk about it. She has this, and it's a recurring joke in this episode about Steve Rogers being a virgin. It actually goes all the way through to the end credits and after credits.
Yeah.
What do you think about that joke? And do you think her math lines up?
I mean, like, if you think about it, sure, but like we've seen the other side of Steve, right? Like, and how infatuated he was with Peggy, and so like it was like we've seen that side. So it's like, I mean, there might have been a missed chance or a missed opportunity, but I don't think he was a virgin.
It's funny. It's kind of an interesting argument or theory that I didn't even know existed. Although we do talk about America's ass a lot, so
yes, we do.
Maybe we are already objectifying him sexually even without getting into it. But really funny joke, and I like that it kind of lands at the very end with her pretending to be drunk for Bruce or the Hulk to kind of confirm that Steve isn't. But also, there's a lot of sentimentality here as well that kind of reminds you how close the original Avengers were because
Tony's
the bar
mentioned
was
a lot.
made by Tony. They obviously talk about Steve and
then Natasha too, because he was talking about his
how he calms down sometimes. I mean, it's kind of we've got this Smart Thor version or Bruce Endgame, already kind of fused together.
Smart Hulk,
sorry. But it's pretty cool to see the Hulk in kind of that world. And then also a lot of Bruce. And
he mentions Ragnarok too.
Yeah. All of the things that kind of make, because you're right. He's floating in space, right? He can't die. So it's cool to kind of, this is the closest I think we get to the Hulk having these moments because there isn't really a Hulk movie, Mark Ruffalo's Hulk movie.
No. And you know what? You really kind of forget about everything that each character has been through until these series. Do you know what I mean? You forget that everybody has their own lives and when they're not all together. WandaVision gave us what Wanda's going through right now, and
obviously Falcon Winter Soldier.
Right, there's so much.
It's
stuff
one of the
that's
things I think the
time.
Disney Plus series does pretty well is kind of deal with the repercussions of these big, giant, really world-ending disaster movies.
Yeah,
and it's kind of interesting, especially anytime we get near that blip and what people did in those years.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's really cool to flesh out. But so most of this episode is spent on that island where we kind of see how much Jennifer is kind of equipped and ready for this role, even though she doesn't really want it. She does not want to be a superhero.
No, she's a superhero in her own way via the law.
As a DA.
She's breaking it down.
In LA, too, which is convenient for the show.
Of course.
Yeah. It's kind of the majority of the episode is her fighting with Bruce while he's trying to train her. There's I forgot the name of this therapy. Do you remember the name of that therapy that he's
that yoga.
really into?
It's not actual yoga, but it has its own name. Yes, it does.
It doesn't really work for her. She's able to go back and forth.
Yeah, fairly easily too.
Fairly easily, and you're right. I think part of it is because she's like a mature woman, and she's like, well, I've already been able to compartmentalize my emotions, so I just have to do that here for this.
Yeah.
And it's kind of wild how, the Hulk or Bruce was like, all right, you got 15 years of training, and then maybe you'll be Okay.
And she was like, "What the heck are you talking about? I'm just gonna go back. Like,
I'll be fine.
I got this. Thank you."
I kind of, before we get to like the courtroom and honestly the end, because this is a pretty quick episode. All these episodes are around 30 minutes. What do you think about the tone of this show? Because it seems to be incredibly comedic, of course.
Yeah.
Written that way. It's like the creator of the person that wrote the Pickle Rick episode. I should get her name just so. Jessica Gao. It's directed by Kat Coro, who did like Girls 5 Eva.
Nice.
It's a very light and kind of fun show.
Yeah.
What do you think about the tone?
I think it's great. I thought, like I said before, I thought it was going to be much cheesier, and I thought that it was going to be like kind of like awkward, like 90s vibes. I think I said that before, like in a preview app that we were trying to see and summarize what our thoughts were like initially on the content that they were releasing before the series premiered. And I thought that it was going to be like her dating and her like just trying to adjust to this new lifestyle of being a Hulk. But it seems like it's not. Like it looks like she has much more like sense of responsibility for herself. Like no, like this is just gonna be me helping people in a different way, and I don't need to be a superhero. Like she almost doesn't like the thought of all the fame and all of that like other like status stuff that comes with being a superhero, which I'm here for, because like I can fight like crime behind the scenes and be totally happy with my contribution to society too. And I do also like her confidence and like her, whenever she was just talking about winning a case at the beginning, she was like, all right, I got this. Like, don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. Like, I'm just going to do this. And I hope I win my case. And that's it. Like, she's just so driven, and she seems very successful. And I love it. Already. I don't need all the other stuff so far. Like, I'm already just with this backstory and like her showing her own strength and like what she can do, opposed to like Bruce too, and like her just being it's not even being stubborn, it's more like determined to just get her own version of this power. And yeah, I'm here for it. I love it already.
Yeah. I think that one of the cool things is that she's an attorney.
Yes.
And it seems like we're going to get into some of that metaphysical stuff. And I think it's really cool that she's going to be able to be really self-aware, because it fits with her character. She's going to talk to the camera, which is going to be big. But I think she's going to be able to comment a lot on what we've seen already in the MCU and some characters. I'm going to talk about some Easter eggs, because this episode definitely had quite a few. This isn't really an Easter egg, more of a chronology thing. But if you notice, Bruce Banner is not wearing a cast at the end of this.
Yeah.
If you watch the after credit scene or the mid credits of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, he is still wearing a cast in that, spoiler alert, when he's with Captain Marvel and they're talking about the bangle, or not the bangle, the rings. So this means that Shang-Chi has already happened, which is kind of insane, because they're on the West Coast as well, not too far from attorney Jessica Waters.
Yeah.
Okay, the other Easter egg, if you look inside of his house, or his, I guess, like his...
The House of Mexico, the place in Mexico.
There's a lot of props from the other films, including his helmet from Thor Ragnarok. There's an Iron Man mask there. A good thing to watch again and check out all of the little stuff in the background. And then the ship, it's a Sakarian ship. So if you remember Thor Ragnarok, on Sakaar, the Grand Master has a ton of ships, and they're using them for all kinds of fun things. That I believe means that maybe they're trying to look for him again, or I'm not sure what that means.
I believe that he said that they were just trying to send a message or something whenever that happened, but I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's just what he was telling Jessica.
Yeah, he kind of says, I'm going to deal with this later.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But remember, Hulk, he's been in space, so everyone's looking for him.
He's got some stuff going on.
Everybody wants him.
He also had that giant fan base.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, people want him to sign stuff in a diner, I think, in Endgame, right? But there's also going to be some fun stuff that we see in the I guess the illustrated end credits. But we'll talk about that stuff later, because I'm sure it's all going to come up. Sophia, what do you think you're looking for? Because now it's set up. This episode is all about setting up who She-Hulk is. What do you think? What are you looking forward to coming up, or I guess even just in terms of the whole show.
So I think the fame part of like what happened in the courtroom, like how it ended.
Jennifer Waters, yeah, as a.
So Jennifer has. Did I say Jessica earlier? I'm so sorry.
I think I said Jessica.
I'm so sorry if I said Jessica.
I read
too.
Jessica on the thing.
I'm so sorry. But so for Jennifer, whenever she goes back into the courtroom, like back to her job, obviously something happens in the courtroom and someone breaks through and like it's this whole scene. And
it's Jamila Jamil
yes.
in the character of Tatiana.
Yes. So whenever that happens, she has to turn into She-Hulk, and then people start to see her as She-Hulk.
Yeah.
And then she's like, and she turns back as soon as the job is done. Then she turns back and she's like, okay, I'm ready to give my closing statement or my closing argument. And it's like, yes, you are. But I think that the fame in the coming episodes is going to be really hard for her to manage because it's not the attention that she wanted. And I think that she's going to have this confliction of like whether or not to, or how hard it's going to be to balance that, like the She-Hulk abilities. And because obviously they're going to reach out to her. Someone's going to reach out to her and see how she can contribute with that, with those gifts. But I think she's still going to want to be a lawyer. And I think that she's still going to want to be in the courtroom and fighting the good fight that way. So eventually there is going to be like a very like important choice that she's going to have to make for her own fate. And then also I want to see like who she fights, what's going to happen with the action. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I don't really care about like the romance part of it, but because this is supposed to be like her origin. Like I want to see what's going to happen. Like who's her first bad guy?
Yeah, I'm interested how big the show gets in terms of like some kind of evil plot.
Hey,
like
but
what?
We get 9 episodes this time.
Yeah, which is really great.
Normally it's like 6.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be like a kind of a procedural almost where it's a different case every episode.
Yeah.
Or if there's going to be one giant, secret evil plot that's happening. Mm-hmm. I think we get some clues, especially since she is an attorney at law, that this is going to focus a lot on the, I guess, like the collateral damage or the after effects of what happens with superheroes.
Yeah.
We know that Wong is in it. We've seen
he's in everything right now.
Yeah, we've seen Daredevil. We know Abomination is in it. So we know that there are other superheroes involved, but I'm interested whether she's prosecuting them. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, Abomination, who is, for all intents and purposes, one of the biggest villains for Hulk and in Edward Norton's Hulk.
Yeah.
They fight at the end.
Yeah.
Like, he loses, but what happens after that?
Right.
Does he go to court? And is this... is this going to be his trial? We don't think about this whenever a villain is captured or destroyed or most of the time killed, I guess. But the ones that survive, like, do they go to a federal court or a district court? And it looks like maybe they do.
It could be one from like Guardians of the Galaxy. You know how, like,
can you imagine
the whole
like prosecuting an alien or something? Like they don't really care about, like if you even could get your hands on Thanos, like what would you even do? Put him in jail? What?
Yeah.
So I think I'm interested in that kind of element of it all. Of course, I'm excited that this seems like it's going to be a fun show to watch. And I think the self-aware stuff, we already got a little bit of that with Rogers and whether or not he's a virgin. But it's going to be fun, I think, to have something that is of a different tone and color, I think, for the MCU, because I've been really excited when all these shows are different from each other and feel like something we haven't seen before. And I think She-Hulk can definitely be that.
Oh, 100%.
For us. But yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll give you a couple minutes. You rode the ride.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Okay.
We talked about, so that's it for the first episode. Sophia and I went to Universal Studios, which is not part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in Orlando, Florida. They have the rights to the Marvel. It's not even about Florida. I believe it is any place east of the Mississippi River. Universal has the rights to the theme parks, to all the Marvel characters.
Yes. But since it is a Marvel character, okay, so they have this ride and it's called the Hulk. And it's obviously not based on our version of the Hulk.
I think
like
it's based on like Eric Bana's Hulk.
Yes. And for those of you who don't know, I'm terrified of rides. We kind of spoke about this during the Guardians pod, but I am absolutely terrified. I will hyperventilate. I will pass out on rides. I will freak out. I have to watch videos like in advance on YouTube of like what it looks like so I know what to expect. And it is a huge ride. It is fast. It is tall as hell. And I definitely...
You did it.
I did it like a big girl because we were not about to go all the way to Florida and spend all this money to go to Universal Studios and me not ride a ride.
Yeah. And they do something in this ride and then of course it's for safety where they have those lockers.
Yeah.
You can't have your phone while you even wait in this ride. So you are just there watching,
experiencing it.
The line get a little bit shorter for you, and then hearing the screams.
You hear the screams. You also hear how fast it takes off because it's one of those rides that like pushes off extremely fast at first, but it goes straight into like a barrel turn, and then it goes all the way down because it shoots you up and then into the barrel turn, and then you have to go down and then into a giant loop. I definitely passed out within the first like 5 seconds of the ride.
Not fair. It doesn't count.
Yeah, I know. So, but it's okay. I woke up and I was in the middle of like the last huge like loop before going underneath a lake, and it sounds insane, but it was so much fun, and I was so stoked that I did it.
Yeah.
I was so happy.
It's a ride. That ride has nothing to do with the show, but there is a Hulk themed ride out there, and I bet there's a couple of them.
Oh, for sure. I'm sure there is. It's so fun too. Like right when you take off, like you hear him like grunting because it's supposed to be like.
He turns into the Hulk.
Yeah,
it's
the transition, and like that's why it's so exciting, and like like you just run, but it's so fun.
Kind of related but unrelated too. Or Orlando or Universal Studios has the rights to the Hulk ride, but they also have the rights to the Hulk standalone movie. And and it only lasts. So they made a deal with the MCU, with Marvel Studios, to say that you can include the Hulk in your films as long as X amount of the screen time is with another Avenger. And there's a list of Avengers. So we will never, unfortunately,
see Mark Ruffalo
Hulk as a solo movie. But unless they renegotiate something. I mean, and the deal, I believe, is currently they could do a standalone, but Universal gets to distribute it. And Disney, of course, would be like, why
do that?
Do all the work and then let you do it? They do something similar with Spider-Man, though. But Spider-Man, I guess, is a little bit more popular. Anyways, I say that just so if you have questions about like why why doesn't Mark Ruffalo just get a movie?
Yeah, that's why
he cannot.
He can't.
But who knows? It's going to be renegotiated, and I think it expires 2023. So really, they're doing it now. But at some point, maybe Universal's just like, fine, take it. Like we don't have any plans for it.
Yeah, right. With how big MCU's getting, there's no way.
Well, they could just get a fee. Like they could just be like, hey, we literally aren't doing anything. You're doing the work, and we're still making money.
Yeah,
do it. So it'll be really interesting. Anyways. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back next week for the next episode of She-Hulk.
Yes.
We're really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fun watch.
Yeah, now I'm excited.
I will say, though, that Disney Plus has been, I don't know, Miss Marvel came out right around Stranger Things and a bunch of other really big things, Obi-Wan, and there's a Lord of the Rings show and Game of Thrones, and all this stuff is coming out now. So She-Hulk. Yeah. It's got to really, and also
She-Hulk, she got to fight for it.
Got to fight for it.
She got to fight for it, though.
I think it'll be fine. It's a whole lot of fun. Well, thanks so much for listening.
Thank you.
You will hear us again next week. Bye. Oh, wait, Sophia, what are your plugs? What do you have to plug?
Wow, okay.
Sorry.
Just the same old. You're trying to leave. Okay, bye. Just the same old stuff. Thank you so much for listening to the pod and supporting us. It really, really does go a long way. If you want to support us even further, please check out all of our other pods that are on the Dolphin Pod Network. There's a lot of funny stuff on there, a lot of information that you might not even know about that we have. So if you're interested in all that, please go for it. And then if you want to support us even further, please check out our Patreon. It's going to be patreon.com/delphinpod, DELFINPOD. And then you can also follow me on any socials. Everything's going to be at _simply Sophie, SOFIE.
For sure. If you go to patreon.com, there's all kinds of stuff there, including the brand new season of Revenge of the Sequel out before anyone else. They're all werewolf themed. We talk about Tatiana Maslany and her Ginger Snaps 2 movie that she's in.
Ginger Snaps.
And then support the pod with a review. Just review it anywhere you want, including Spotify now, I believe.
Woohoo.
So that other people can find it. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.